Those of you that are on our show regularly, watching us, you know that the health industry in North America and Europe is always looking out for your best interests. And that's why this week we're going to be talking about foods that are labeled healthy that you think is healthy and aren't. And we're going to be diving into this very controversial topic right after this. All right. That's what happens when I change what I'm going to say when we go live instead of thinking about it before we go live. So welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton, and the star of our show, health engineer Martin Patella. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Oh, thank you, Scott. I thought you were the star and I was the nerd. What are you doing?
Role reversal. It's all these carbs we're going to be talking about.
Okay, so
greetings, George. Greetings to everybody. Yeah, you gotta
jazz hands.
All right. Bill Gates says so. That's right. We need to do what Bill tells us to do because that's the answer.
Hello, George.
All right. Okay, before we get into it, most health advice is one size fits all. However, your biology is not one size fits all. At Life Enthusiast, we help people move past generic. I always say genetic. I got to change this word. Generic industrial medicine to find the specific natural path that actually restores your unique body to the health that it was meant to be. All right. So that's what we're all about. And
let me say it to you in a plain language. You cannot put Ford parts into your Chevy pickup. It just won't work.
That's right. That's right. And you know, Martin, I put diesel fuel into my van once, and it didn't even leave the gas station.
Nope. It goes bad so fast.
So the mechanic emptied it, flushed it out, put gas in, and said, like,
don't do it.
Why did you do that? It was cheaper.
You know, there's also another trick that young people used to do, which was called sugaring the tank. They would take a pound of sugar and just dump it into. Those were the days when the gaskets, whatever they are called, were not locked. Right.
Yeah.
You used to be able to just walk up to the car, open it up, and
dump it in if you were not happy. Yeah. Ouch is
Those were the days when society was not filled with destructive jackasses.
Yep. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about a juice that's used to sweeten things that everybody thinks is healthy. We're going to be talking about a liquid that everyone thinks that they can give their kids in the morning and evening and afternoon and night, and they think that's healthy. And then we're going to talk about bread and how maybe what you think is healthy bread isn't as healthy as you think.
The staff of life.
The staff of life. You know, and the staff of life was the staff of life in a time when it was not unusual for 2 or 3 years of drought to occur. Right? You had small villages, you had small crops, the drought would come, nothing would grow, the animals would all die, and then you starved. So what they did is they found something like wheat that they could put into a bin for a decade, and then, we've got no food to eat, roll out the wheat, crush it up, make bread, and at least you survived until the next year, right?
Yeah, like that.
But we haven't had a drought and we haven't had a famine in North America for a long, long time.
There should never be a famine on this planet. We don't have a lack of food situation. We have a distribution problem where some parts of the world just don't get stuff delivered, either because they don't have roads or because they can't pay for stuff that shouldn't even have to
Yeah.
be paid for.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
So I
Well,
happen to be in Mexico. I'm in Ahiki. Lake Chapala is right behind me. And I have to say that the other day when I was out and about, I was struck, and I've been here for a month. So this was the first time it really like hit me. But there were a lot of very large people walking around and very large children walking around. And by that, of course, I mean,
fat.
Fat, right? And you're exactly right in that we live in a time in a world where there's an abundance of calories, not necessarily an abundance of nutrition. I think that's, is really something that we need to.
There are some really curious distortions. When the tobacco companies like Philip Morris and Reynolds and whatnot, and the other ones, were being squeezed by the regulatory environment in the 1960s and 70s, the writing was on the wall that they're going to get pushed. They diversified. They went ahead and bought up food companies. They bought Kraft and Nabisco and Heinz and all of that. And so it's now the big tobacco owning the big food. And they brought with them their specialist engineers who said, well, we understand how the brain works. We understand the addiction machinery. We're going to make people need or want more of our stuff. Food.
Yeah.
These days, I would call it food-like objects, but that's what they got, and
That's
they
what they
have the
got.
method. And I bet you cannot eat just one.
You and I have talked about that a few times when it comes to taco chips, and it's just like we've got this big bag, and it doesn't last past that one eating.
Yeah, my kryptonite is Doritos.
Doritos, yeah.
I
see Doritos, and I just like.
No, I'm not starting. Yeah, I cannot have the first one. If I can only stay away from the first one, I'm good.
Yeah. So that's a savory. And I was just in a grocery store yesterday, and 3 times I walked by a big table full of marshmallows. Every time it was like, no, you're not getting marshmallows. No, you're not getting marshmallows. And, if I could eat one marshmallow a day, I would be happy, right? But I can't. The bag is gone. So I just, and then I feel marshmallowy, right? Like it's just like, so you have the savory thing and you have a sweet thing in it, and that's individual.
Yeah, Scott, I have had a relationship with French baguette and butter for years. And if you left me alone with a fresh baguette and a pound of butter, I'm capable of making them disappear inside of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what our goal is today, and we are probably going to make this into a 2-part episode, is why fructose overload is so dangerous, which healthy carbs behave worse than junk food. Maybe you're better off eating a Dorito or a bag of Doritos than some of the things you're eating now, thinking that they're healthy, and how these foods affect your liver and your brain, and what to eat instead to protect your metabolism and longevity. We're built to last 120 years, folks, and the average age is like 78, going down, and we need to do something about that.
I have an interesting revelation for you. Like, there is a difference with carbs and how you prepare them and when you eat them. There is really a massive difference. Things are measured in what's known as the GI, which is the glycemic index, not government institution. What does GI stand for in Army? General Infantry?
Yeah, I think so. GI Joe.
Yeah.
General Infantry.
Anyway, GI stands for...
George knows. Come on, George, tell us.
It would be the glycemic index, and pure glucose, which also goes by the name of dextrose, is the energy. What shall we call it? energy storage unit, right? Chemically, it's 6 carbons with 12 hydrogens strung around it. That's it. Anyway, so that's an index of 100. So if something is indexed over 100, then it's even more absorbable than pure dextrose. And of course, proteins are less or lower on the list, and fats are even further down on the list, or they're actually a 0 because there's no glucose in fat. But interestingly enough, proteins can be converted into glucose. So what I wanted to say is this: white rice, freshly cooked, is the highest. Brown rice is a little lower. Sprouted brown rice is lower still. Chilled overnight but reheated is lower. Cooked with coconut oil is lower yet. With vinegar added to it, lower yet. Eaten with protein and fat, now we're not eating it on its own. And finally, rice eaten at the end of the meal. Right? And so it goes all the way from 90 down to 28. Like, you can fix the glycemic index of the carbs, and the easiest thing is to cook them and chill them and eat them either reheated or cold.
Right. And the reason that we want to have a low glycemic index on the food that we eat is we don't get a sugar spike, and then we don't get a ton of insulin going into our bloodstream, which causes a whole bunch of problems and then turns everything into fat, which causes even more problems.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly that. So anyway, why don't you go over the whatever points you wanted to make, because there were some really interesting words.
Well, the first one I want to talk about is agave nectar. So it's found in smoothie bars, health food stores, organic snacks, vegan desserts, and everyone says, yeah, this is really good.
Here's an interesting thing, Scott. There are all kinds of plants, actually all plants, they catch photons, and in the chloroplast blast, convert it. Essentially, they take the light energy and with the use of chlorophyll, convert it into a thing, something. And typically it's the starch, right? And all plants do that. And then the juicy ones put it into sugary juices. And so we have apple juice, orange juice, pear juice, peach juice, sugar beet juice,
mango juice,
and so on. And then here is agave. Now, when you squeeze agave, what you do with that juice is you make tequila. If you turn it into alcohol, you can take apple juice and turn it into Calvados, which is an apple brandy, right?
Or apple cider, very popular.
Or cider, yeah. But you can take a potato and turn it into vodka. You can take grape and turn it into brandy. You can take wheat and turn it into whiskey. Yeah, that too. Anyway, all of these things, as long as you can either you ferment it, right? Fermentation turns it into booze. So that's the starting point is the sugary juice, and then you ferment it. In presence of oxygen, you're making vinegar. In absence of oxygen, you're making alcohol. Ta-da! Anyway, so your point was agave. So what's interesting is what's left over is agave inulin, which is the fibrous part of the plant that has had the sweet juice squeezed out of it. And that's supremely healthy. In fact, we put that into our Exula superfoods as a source of oligosaccharides, because that's what the microbes in your gut love.
Right.
Not so much the sugar. If you drink that sugar, whether it's fermented or straight, you're going to cause yourself a spike.
Right. Because agave nectar is 80 to 90% fructose.
Yeah.
And that's significantly higher than even high fructose corn syrup that we keep talking about don't take, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah. So it's deceptive, right? It tastes wonderfully sweet, but because fructose can only be converted into something in your liver, it has a lesser effect as far as the spike goes. Right? It doesn't
Right.
spike you as much. So
it's kind of like saying, hey, here's a small scale, like a little chart, and look, fructose is like this and glucose is like that, so take the fructose. But what you don't know is there's another chart over here that's your liver, and the sucrose doesn't have much to do with the liver, but the fructose does, and it causes some problems.
Yeah, it actually loads your liver. It's a burden. And so when your liver is busy dealing with fructose, it of course cannot do the other jobs that are livers. And liver has three main tasks. Phase one, chop it up. Phase two, neutralize it. Phase three, package it and get rid of it. This is the detox function of the liver. The methylation and whatever else functions that we talk about a lot all happen in your liver. So if you make your liver busy by shoving too much fructose into your circulation, you're going to give yourself a liver problem.
Right. So the way the liver processes excess fructose would be similar to how it processes alcohol.
Yep, very similar pathway.
So, because for me, one of the things I think that is important is I need to take the concept and put it into a way in my mind that I would know, like, no, don't do that. So, for example, I know not to have 12 beer. I know not to drink a bottle of vodka. I know not to drink a bottle of tequila. I don't know not to eat a bunch of stuff that has agave nectar in it. But if you're telling me that if you take this fructose, you're at risk of fatty liver, you're going to have insulin resistance, you're going to have elevated triglycerides, you're going to have metabolic stress, and your liver is going to act like you had a bunch of beer, then I'm going, oh, okay, so I need to make sure. And now it's excess fructose. It doesn't mean you can't have an apple, right? Like one apple.
In fact, I must say an apple a day truly does keep a doctor away, and it's the malic acid, the stuff that makes apples sour. So Granny Smith green apple is way healthier than the Jonah Gold that's full of sweet juice.
Yeah, the galas. I love gala. Oh, okay.
Those are the sweet ones. But anyway, the point will be the following. The malic acid is what softens the gallstones. Ta-da.
Oh, so you don't want gallstones in your gallbladder?
Then drink apple juice.
Or eat a lot of Granny Smiths.
Yeah, that's it.
And so the in joke here is I went to see a naturopath chiropractor this past week twice, and he said, your gallbladder needs a flush, and so I'm gonna do the gallbladder flush, and if I'd just been eating apples, I probably wouldn't have to do that, right? So in my notes, the uric acid production is not good.
Not uric, malic.
Malic, yes. But one of the additional dangers is you're going to be producing uric acid, which is going to increase
mostly
your risk
related to eating too much protein.
Okay.
So that's a different creature.
Okay, we'll move on. All right, the next one that we want to talk about, and this one really hurts, fruit juice. It's natural. There's no added sugar. It comes from fruit. It has to be wonderful. And the biological response is pretty close to a Coke.
It's kind of seductive, right? Like when you take, say, 12 oranges and squeeze them out, it's quite conceivable that you can drink that in one go. You'd have
who's going to eat 12?
You'll have a hard time eating 5 oranges, never mind 12, right? And so all of a sudden you got this sugary intensity in your body without the accompanying fiber and whatever else comes with oranges. So yes, you're getting the vitamin C that's in that juice, but you're getting a load of fructose with it.
Yeah. So just to give you an example, some of the wonderful scientists in the world have done a study on this, and 1 liter of juice is around 66 grams of fructose. 1 liter, and I'm just going to say Coke, but it's soda, is 62 grams of fructose. So actually less. Now, it's fructose corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup, and we don't think that's good at all. But if you're thinking, oh, juice is a health food, sorry. And like you said, we're missing the fiber, which slows down the digestion, which gives you satiety. Like, because people can drink, they drink a glass of orange juice and then it's like they want another glass.
Yeah, easy.
If you eat an orange,
yeah,
maybe you want another orange, but you don't want a third one.
Yeah, likewise, when I give you a cup of coffee, you don't conceive of putting 9 teaspoons of sugar into it. And yet, you drink a can of Coca-Cola, it has 9 teaspoons of sugar in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't let me pick on Coca-Cola. It's all of them.
It's all of them, yeah. So if you're a parent and you've got children, beware, because the juice does not trigger a feeling of fullness. It's easy for them to overconsume it. They get these huge spikes. Their poor little livers are overworked, and it's marketed as healthy. Like, oh, don't have a Sprite, don't have a 7-Up, have a juice. No, don't have water. Teach them to have water. Put a little lemon in it. Put a little orange in it. You can flavor it with, fruit from a juice that you squeeze somehow, right?
Yeah, you'd have to dilute it. Is the point, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you have lemonade, they just don't make juice from lemonade and give you the glass. They put half a lemonade or a lemon in it, and the rest is water.
When I was a kid, my mom would always have something called a syrup sitting on the kitchen counter because the water that came out of the kitchen tap was pretty funky tasting, or not interesting anyway. And so she would put on the bottom of the glass about a finger's level of this sugar syrup, and it would have been made with raspberry or strawberry or fruit mix or some sort of thing, but it was mostly sugar. And then water on top, and we drank that, right? Not that it's a victory, but I survived my childhood somehow.
And that sounds like a recipe for cavities.
Yeah. All right. So you were talking about.
We got one last one, and that's whole wheat bread. So governments, doctors, the food pyramid have all said, yes, get rid of the white stuff, whole wheat bread.
There's this wonderful stuff, right? So you start with the plant, with the grain, whether it's a rice grain or barley grain or wheat grain or whatever. And then you crack it open, and it has 3 parts. It's the wheat germ, and then there's the oily part, and then there's the starchy part. Oh yeah, and then the outside, right? The shell, whatever that's called, bran, I think. Okay, so
yeah, that's bran.
When you separate those 3 things, the reason you're doing it is the starch, the white part, doesn't decay easily. The fatty part, the wheat germ, does. And so if you want to have a long shelf stable product, you want to separate the whiteness from the wholeness. Back when, in the old days, you would take a small bag of wheat to the mill, and you would mill about enough for 1 month's supply, maybe. And then you take it home, and you had fresh ground
flour,
stone ground flour. And you would bake with that, and it would make kind of coarse bread that was very substantive.
This was heavy. It would be heavy bread.
Yeah. And it was whole wheat, full of bran, full of germ, full of all of that. And so now in the industrial age, we have easy time to separate those 2 things together, or from each other, I should say. So we can make fluffy white cake.
Right.
And
donuts.
And then we could put the bran back in and we could put the germ back in if we choose to. I wonder if that's how they do it. I don't know
probably.
for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the main point is this, that the white bread is all energy, no germ, which wheat germ is a very healthy food on its own. And no bran, so no fiber, no poop.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything goes rapidly into glucose. You
Yeah.
get a fast blood sugar spike. And my favorite scientist that I talked about earlier, they took 2 slices of whole wheat bread and they discovered that it spikes blood sugar more than a Snickers bar, more than a Kit Kat bar, more than a Mars bar. 6 teaspoons of sugar, basically.
You know what's interesting? Fortunately, nobody eats bread on its own. You slap some butter or mayonnaise on it and a slab of turkey and 3 leaves of lettuce and whatever. So you're changing the GI, the glycemic index of that thing that you're consuming. So this argument that you just presented, that's fakey science. Yeah, okay. You can vilify bread. You should, because you don't eat bread without the other stuff.
Right. Yeah, usually no one just has a slice of bread with nothing on it.
Seldom do you take Snickers bar and beef jerky, chip chop.
Right. But there's other things in bread that we need to be concerned about. And I guess this is why, if you're looking at store-bought bread versus bread that you make yourself, right? I mean, we need to make those distinctions.
You know what I think? I remember years ago, that's 20 years back, there were stone mills available for sale. They were about $500 then, so that would probably make them $1,200 now. But it's a device that you can have in your kitchen, and so you can buy whole grain, and you mill it for the day when you're going to bake yourself some pastries or whatever. So this is going to be fresh ground, stone ground, whole grain affair. And especially if you buy organic grown grain, you probably will have a decent quality product.
Yeah. The store-bought breads often include maltodextrin, preservatives, added sugar, dough conditioners, MSG-like flavor enhancers. Like the modern bread that you're buying is like my aunts all had a little grinder because they lived on farms and they grew wheat. And they would take a bunch of wheat in and they would grind it and then they would make bread. And that bread was way, way different than what we're eating now.
Yeah.
And that's
very substantive, right?
Yeah, and delicious.
Yeah. So not like Wonder Bread.
Not like Wonder Bread, that's right.
And I wanted to mention the dough conditioner that you just landed on. It used to be that iodine was used for conditioning the dough that is processed in large-scale kneading machines. But back in 1970 something, they switched out and started using bromine instead of iodine. When they were using iodine, it was beneficial to us because it was conditioning our thyroid gland and energy and all of that. When you switch it to bromine, you actually start creating health problems for people.
Right, exactly. So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. Why does a corporation save a penny on the slice of bread but poison the customer in the process? Like, what's the thinking, right? Like, drive the cost down. Don't care about consequence.
Right. And maybe that's, right?
Yeah.
Driving
it reminds me of cancer, Yep, I want to grow. No, I don't care if it kills the host.
Right.
It's essentially parasitic behavior.
Yes, very much. So let's talk a little bit about some things that we can do. And I wanted to share a couple products that we have that I think would be pretty awesome.
Right. Okay.
And
well, if you are still eating starchy things at rates greater than what your body can manage, then you should look at berberine. Seriously, take a look at berberine.
Okay, let me just bring that up.
Yeah. Berberine is a simple, we sell it as a tincture, comes in a bottle, you squeeze the bulb, put it in your mouth before you eat, and you will have a much better time with the consequence of having some carbs in your meal. It will really be way less spiky, which is what you want. You want to avoid the glucose spike, because the glucose spike is followed by an insulin spike, which is followed by the deposition of white adipose tissue, call it fat, all around your belly. So that's what that is. Keep you slim. The other thing...
Really important herb. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The other thing that I would recommend is called Heart Formula. The Heart Formula product has a load of chromium and vanadium in it, plus a whole bunch of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, but especially the chromium. And that's called GTF, glucose tolerance factor. And so when you have this running in your body, then you are dealing with the sinful ways of eating really well. You are correcting the consequences. You're repairing the cardiovascular system. Remember the story of high cholesterol? The cholesterol is the consequence of the fires, the metabolic fires that you have late. So this thing will help to reduce the damage, bring it back, restore balance. And you'll be metabolically way better too. And yeah, anyway, this is an awesome tool. Everybody who's got anything going in their cardiovascular system that's less than lovely, they should have this.
Right. And the other one we wanted to talk about, because fructose has a huge impact on the liver, was the new liver.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. And so the liver formula is conceived as a tool to restore the function of your liver. Because when you eat a diet that's too hot, you will cause damage, and you want to repair from it. And this is where you're repairing the organ that bears the brunt of your sinful ways. Yeah, that's awesome. It's I don't know, 1 or 2 bottles a year of it is usually enough to keep a person in a decent shape.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite superfoods, but I've always been concerned about my liver. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons.
It was good to hear when you were reporting from the naturopathic survey or review that you had just gone through, that your organs are actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah. My liver in particular was the one I was paying attention to what he was going to say. And he says, it's strong. So yay. And I expect it to be strong, like I don't drink. I'm no longer drinking juices after today.
You can just
in moderation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Have a shot. I mean, mango juice is one of my favorites.
Yeah, 1 glass of wine, no big deal, right? 1 glass of mango juice, no big deal. Just don't finish the carton.
Right, and don't have it every day, 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So I think we've come to the end of our time today. We're going to dive into this a little bit more. Thank you, George. Appreciate having you with us. Yeah. We're going to dive into one more carb next week. So how's that for opening a loop that people have to come back for? Yeah. Make sure you like, save, share, tell your friends, subscribe every Wednesday. It's Wednesday, not Tuesday.
And send your questions. Okay.
Yeah. Any questions you have, put them in there too. We'd love to deal with, Martin's a problem solver. He loves having problems to solve. So give him your problems, your health problems.
Give me your problems. I'll take them.
Take my problems. Yes, we are live every Wednesday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And we really appreciate having you along on this journey with us. So you've been watching or listening to the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
My body's a temple, but the walls are cracked. Stuck in the rubble of the years I've stacked. Stagnation in my veins like a river turned to dust. Toxic whispers in the wind, but I gotta rebuild. I must.